made my boomerang. Find out more right here on Gary's Stuff. Hi there, I'm Gary. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you've been here before. Today is build day on the kit of the week. That kit being the 1/72nd scale Commonwealth Boomerang from Airfix, a vintage classics release. Now, if you're thinking about buying one, want to know what you get in the box, there's already a video available. And of course, there's already a history video to put the plane into some sort of context and give you a look at what other kits may be available as well. If you've got one of these and want to know how to put it together, this is very much the video for you. If you like any of my videos, please remember, Imperial thumbs up on the like button below because every like counts. And if you haven't done so yet, please do subscribe to the channel, hit that bell and you'll be notified of all my future videos as they are released. And if you want to give a bit more concrete support to the channel, you can do that through Super Thanks, by becoming a channel member, or indeed by using any of my partner programs, one of which is the Airfix affiliate program. All that means is if you want to buy this or indeed any other Airfix kits and you haven't got an independent local supplier, then you can go to airfix.com, go to the online store, and whatever you buy at no extra cost to you, Airfix will make a small donation to this channel. You still get your club discount if you're a member of the club, and you still collect your hobby points if you collect them as well. So everyone's a winner. Anyway, let's crack on and have a look how I built my Commonwealth CA-13 Boomerang in 1/72nd scale, a vintage classics release from Airfix. I'm painting the less than perfect pilot figure here. What I have done already is done a coat of like a really dark blue, like a signal blue. And now I'm just going to put in some highlights of a sort of more bluish grey. When this dries, this will look like RAF blue-grey because we're going to put in these highlights now, and then we're going to put in another set of highlights on top to pick out. This is all about shading colour. Now, the thing is also, because of the scale here, because this is small, we need the colours really very strong, because the smaller something is, the stronger the colours need to be seen. Okay, so it looks quite aggressive, and in many painting terms it is, but in the plane it will look fine. It will look absolutely fine, I promise you. Now I'm going to use the same logic. You may think it's flawed logic, and you know what? Who's to say it isn't? But I think it's okay. Use the same logic for the yellow of the Mae West and for the flesh tones. We put a base colour a lot darker. This is mahogany brown in first. Including over the face. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I always start with the forehead on these. And the bridge of the nose. And the cheekbones. Okay, straight away that's a reasonably convincing face, but then you can just touch up tiny little bits and pieces around the edges to make it just that little bit better. Okay, I'll just do that very gently, and do the top of the hands as well. And then do his helmet, the hat on top, the leather helmet on top, and straps. Your pilot figure's pretty much got, oh, and the scarf. We're going to do a nice scarf. I'll show you that in a moment. So to summarise then, what we've done is put a dark blue, signal blue, on first, then a bit of highlight with a paler blue. It's Humbrol 89, I think it was. I'll put all the paint call-outs in the information box. Then I've done that was like the 89 mixed with the dark blue, then the 89 on its own for the top highlight. I've then put on some mahogany brown over the Mae West, the hands and the face. Some black red, or yes, black red for the leatherwork up here. I've then put on yellow over the Mae West and a couple of blobs of yellow at the top here just to give it a bit of a highlight. I've used basic skin tone over the skin areas, just sort of blended it in a little bit. A bit of black for moustache just for fun, really. I put a little bit of linen in here for the straps. Black on the top here for his goggles, and a little bit of aluminium just as the highlights. And then just a bit of the black red mixed down with a touch of white just to put some highlights on top of the earphones and top of the leather work. And then grey for his flying scarf, and then a white highlights for it. And that's it. I mean, it's what's remembered to do his boots in black. Other than that, that's it. It's not a great job, but it's enough, I think, for the use which is sitting inside this vintage classic kit of the Boomerang. Yes, the first step for me today is to glue the fuselage together. Now, just put glue on the pins, the locator pins. Then I'll just tape this up and go around the seam with some extra thin cement to make sure it's all bonded in properly. I painted the inside interior green first. While the fuselage is drying, I can do things like put the engine together. There's two banks of cylinders that go together like so. There's a little locator notch at the top so that they sit alternating like so. And there's a prop shaft. Now, if you want the propeller to turn, you don't glue this in place. You let that actually, you must glue something somewhere. I suppose, when you put the propeller on, that holds it in place, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, you don't glue that if you want the propeller to turn. I'm really not bothered about that, so I glue everything in place anyway. The engine drops into the back of the nacelle like so. Then the engine nacelle fits on the front of the aircraft. Now this is where a lot of fit issues are going to come out, okay, because we try and get it right at the top here, and you can see the mismatch at the bottom here is horrendous. So get it as close as you can all the way around, and then we'll worry about the rest of it later on. Going to be some filling done here. The main wing halves just sort of clip together, and then you tape them up and glue them together. When the two halves are nicely put together, you can put the seat in. I find it's a lot easier to do it this way around than trying to get the seat to balance on the various bits on the inside first and then put the two halves of the aircraft together. Yeah, like so. I'm making a fake instrument panel here by painting white dots and then filling them in with black. So they look like instruments. Remember, as I keep saying, they'll look like instruments from the outside. Looking into this, thinking, yeah, looks like some sort of instrument. It's only going to be very indicative. It's really not that accurate. I've no idea what the instruments on this aircraft look like. What I know is it had some. So it is put into the aircraft. It's completely made up, but with the glass on, I don't think you'll notice much difference. There's not a part there. There's not a decal there. You know, you've got to do it yourself anyway. So I think it looks pretty cool, actually. Then we put in a pilot figure as well. And already it's actually looking not too bad. I'm really happy with that. Really happy. I can get on and make the rest of the kit now. Okay, it's got these side transparency parts that go on here, a bit like on the P40. Actually, that's what it reminds me of. Give a bit of rearward vision over your shoulder. They go in there. I'm using an acrylic glue, PVA based glue, to put this transparency part in. There we go. The wings connect with the fuselage like so. Now the joint is not great. I have to say, this is the only part of this vintage classic that really isn't great, is the wing joint. You might want to mess around a bit with some sanding maybe to see if you can get it a better fit first, but the fit really isn't that great. I mean, there's a great big hole here, but maybe if we sand that down, maybe that will come in a bit. Let's have it. I'll give it a go, see what we can do. And the stabilizers, horizontal stabilizers, tail planes as we used to call them, go in here on each side as usual. And if you're using the auxiliary fuel tank, it clips into place like so. So I've done a little bit of filling around these wing roots in particular, were a bit rubbish, and the roots of the tail planes here. Masked off the canopy. I'll just block up the entrance to the engine here, and then I can give it a spray for painting. So I've primed the aircraft, I've sprayed the tail white, tail and the tail plane white, and then masked off the area that's going to stay white. Obviously, you notice the tip here, that's going to be brown eventually. So on the bottom, we're going to paint this blue. It's supposed to be Royal Australian Air Force sky blue. The closest I can find in my collection is probably this RLM light blue. That's going to have to do. I mean, to be honest, you know, looking on from the side, it's going to look great, I'm sure. If you want to get absolute accuracy on it, well, best of luck finding some. I can't find it anywhere. I'm sure there will be paint companies that will do it. Well, hey, maybe those new Outlaw paints, they'll do it, being an Australian company. But for now, RLM 85, sorry, 65, RLM 65 is what I'm going to put on the bottom. On the top, we're going to use a chocolate brown to be like the dark earth, and then the foliage grey, I think from memory, US dark green is a close match. Again, you know, in the colour ranges I use, I can't get exactly the right ones, so that's what we'll try. Anyway, I used it on the Anson, and that looked cool. So right, let's get down to it. Spray the base, wait for it to dry, varnish it, mask it. all over, probably green first, spray, varnish, mask, then the brown, varnish, and then we'll be ready for stripping the whole thing down and putting the decals on. When the varnish is dry, we can start applying the decals. Just an observation here, really. These are the gun barrels for the 20mm cannon. Note that back in those days, they actually put the tab with the part number directly onto something as small as this gun barrel, which I really wouldn't have had. You know, put it down here somewhere, stamp it onto this. But fortunately, they don't do things like that anymore. And I'm hoping that maybe the gun barrels sort of stick to about there in the wing. We'll see that. Right, so put the gun barrels in, and we have put in the pitot tube as well. I'm just going to leave them on its tail to set. Actually, while it's up like this, I might as well put the propeller on as well. Right, for the undercarriage, we have to put the main wheel axle all the way through the wheel, because we're then going to put the gear door on the outside of it. So get that glued on first, then the gear door goes on next. Then there's another door piece that goes on here, but I'll put that on when this has actually gone on the aircraft. And then the main gear leg just slots in to the square peg, into the square hole, like so. The extra door fits just in here, like so. Last thing I'm going to add in is the exhaust that fits in here. There we go. I've painted it with burnt iron and then just rubbed in a little bit of rust powder on there. So that's essentially the construction finished. All we need to do now is take off these paint masks and we're done. So there we have the Commonwealth CA-13 Boomerang in 1/72 scale from Airfix, and it's a lovely little kit. It is very much of its age in terms of, you know, thickness of parts and accuracy and this and that, but do you know what? It went together well. It's a charming aeroplane, a really nice tribute to a really clever piece of design, and it makes a nice model in the end. The new decal sheet is good, loads of stencils to add, and the overall colours I really like. I really like the sort of darker brown and the foliage green. I'm very happy with it. I enjoyed making it. I'm sure you would too. And to be honest, at the price they go at, you know, you could be getting something else, thinking, oh, I need to spend an extra few quid to get the free delivery. Pick up something like this. Really, it's a joy. And it also reminds you of how good things are now compared to how they were back in the 60s. Still, lovely kit to build. Makes a nice result. I'm really happy. There it is then, the Commonwealth Boomerang. Really pleased I made this. Now, if you've liked this video, I hope you have. Please remember, imperial thumbs up on the like button below because every like counts. And if you haven't done so yet, please do subscribe to the channel, hit that bell, and you'll be notified of all my future videos as they arrive. Thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you again very soon. Take care now. Goodbye.